Hallo und guten Tag. Ich bin Leigh Bardugo. Ich freue mich riesig, dass Grischa in Deutschland herauskommt. Viel Spaß beim Lesen! When I'm not writing, I work as a makeup artist here in Hollywood, and I also sing in a band. I think I'm really lucky because I get to be creative in a few different ways over the course of a week. With makeup, it's really satisfying because you get on set, you're given a task, and you're done with it at the end of a day. It's really different from the small steps that it takes to work towards a novel over time. With music, I think whether I'm singing or I'm playing, I'm trying to learn bass right now. I'm not trying very hard because I'm really lazy about practicing. But either way, I think you're just in the moment. And I think with both music and makeup, it's nice to kind of let the writer brain shut down. It means that I can come back to the page with a kind of renewed focus. The inspiration for the Grisha trilogy came about one night when I was staying with some friends in the mountains. I got up in the middle of the night and I was making my way down a darkened hallway, and all of a sudden I thought I could hear something breathing in the dark. Rationally, I knew there was nothing there, but for a second it was like being a kid again and thinking that there was a monster lurking in the closet or underneath my bed. And I got myself together and I went back to bed, and I was lying there and I kept thinking, what if darkness was a place? What if it wasn't just a hallway? What if it were a territory or a wasteland? What if all the monsters you thought might be lurking in the dark were real? And the questions just kept piling up. What would the monsters look like? What would it take to fight them? What kind of power might create a place like this? I couldn't get to sleep, so I got up and started writing. When I got into world building, I went to a used bookstore and I was looking through the travel and history sections, and I came across this Russian Imperial Atlas. And as I stood there flipping through trade routes and military campaigns and exports and shifting borders, something just clicked. I knew this was the right inspiration for my world. From there, I just dug in. I focused mainly on history and culture and folklore, but I also collected textiles and city plans and recipes and song lyrics. There's also a thriving Russian community here in LA that was a pretty valuable resource. And I have a friend who I've never met, but who I know from Facebook, who is Mongolian, and helped me with some Russian and Mongolian translations when it came time for me to get into building the Rovkin language. I think the biggest challenge in writing the book was probably language. I decided early on that I didn't want to use Russian because Rovka isn't Russia, but also because Russian is so opaque to non-speakers. We don't share an alphabet, and so the words really have no resonance for us. I used a few different strategies in constructing Rovkin. One was to use a familiar root word and then add a Russian suffix. An example would be Politsnaya, which is the city where Mal and Alina take their military training. I used the root polis, which is city and very recognizable, and also has kind of a nice echo of police, which works with the military feel. And I added a Russian place name ending. I found myself agonizing over really small choices because of the intersection between my language and Russian. Things like Starkov versus Starkova. Did I want to gender surnames? Things like Korporalkai versus Korporalniki. How did I want to construct my plurals? I think this is the kind of thing that fantasy writers obsess over, or at least I do. I had never written a book before, and I had never constructed a fantasy world, and it was really hard not to let self-doubt get the best of me. I kind of tricked myself into writing that first draft. I just kept saying, no one's ever going to see it. Just finish it, and then you can throw it in a drawer or toss it on a bonfire. Just finish. That was my mantra through that draft. Just finish, just finish, just finish. It does not work as well when you're on book 2 and you have an agent and an editor and a deadline to think about. But by then you have the confidence of having finished book 1, so it helps. I think there are some similarities between my work as a makeup artist and as a writer. I think in both cases, my job is to create an illusion. And if I do that job well, you're not thinking about the technique or seeing the seams and the cracks. You're just enjoying the result. It's still hard for me to believe that my book is going to be published in one language, let alone that it's going to be available in countries that I've never even been to. The idea of some kid somewhere in the world picking up my book and staying up late with my characters and in my world is just kind of magical. So what can I tell you about book 2 of the Grischa trilogy? I can say that we'll be traveling beyond Ravka's borders for a bit. Most of the characters from book 1 will be back, including the Darkling. And I'll be introducing some new characters, including a character who's probably my favorite of the whole series. He's a privateer and he has a taste for the finer things, but that's really all I can say without getting myself into trouble. I'm really excited about the second book in the series, and I hope readers will be too. I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the Grischa trilogy. I'm so excited to be visiting Germany in September, and I hope to meet you all then.